quite a while I have been furniture-free living, or more to the point, floor living, as I think what we've learned over the past few weeks discussing furniture-free living in the comments on a few of my videos is furniture-free minimalism really looks different for everybody, and also just because we are perhaps living furniture-free doesn't always mean we are minimalist, as there are many people that choose to live without furniture but that aren't minimalist. They may have more of other things like lots of books, lots of tech, lots of other things that they like to keep, but they choose to have the space, as in the floor space, in their homes. Many people, I believe, thought I'd gone a little bit too far in getting rid of my sofa, but it was really for me to trial furniture-free living, as it's something that I've always wanted to do, as I have seen, contrary to what I said, many minimalists that also choose to be furniture-free, so I really wanted to try it. But more importantly, the reason that I also wanted to try it, because I believe that furniture-free living actually allows me to objectively explore minimalist lifestyle and minimalist design, and I'm going to discuss what I mean by that. Obviously the title of this video is probably something like creating my cozy minimalist home, and I believe from a design perspective, even more so from a minimalist design perspective, that in order to think about what we really want, it's actually a great idea to start with a blank canvas. And living furniture free for a while has really made me be able to consider what I want from my furniture when I decide to reintroduce it. What do I want it to do? What boxes do I want it to tick? Because I think that's the key to any great design, that it has to be fit for your personal lifestyle. It has to fit your home in particularly. For instance, it would be no good having a beautiful home if it is uncomfortable, not fit for your lifestyle, because then it's not fit for purpose. And I think actually when we take everything away, like I did by getting rid of my sofa, it makes me really question what I actually want. So throughout the last few weeks of living without furniture, my partner and I both discovered what we do actually want from our furniture. I previously mentioned that both my partner and I had bad backs, and we didn't know how long we would really trial furniture-free living for because of this fact, but that's not to be mistaken with having a weak back in terms of muscularity. Both my partner and I have been very active our whole lives, but I actually had a horse riding injury nearly a decade ago now, and every now and then I re-injure it. It's not from sort of sideways pressure or muscularity from sitting up straight, because actually my whole life I have actually done a lot of floor sitting. I actually love sitting on the floor, but there is now just a limit to sitting in general, regardless of whether it's on the floor or not. I have to constantly move around because of the downwards spine pressure. It just, after sitting in a position for so long, I have to shift. I mean, I actually think that's probably the case for a lot of people. We would get bed sores or whatever if we sat in the same position for too long, but it's even more so if you have a back injury. So I mean, I even tried having a back brace at one point, but then I realised that it wasn't sort of sideways a muscular issue, it was an actual injury on the downwards pressure of my spine. And this is what we discovered as well from being furniture free, that in our general daily lifestyle we would sort of be sat down to eat our meal around 7:30 p.m, and then we would kind of sit and chat for a while on the floor, obviously. But then we discovered that after sort of 2 or 3 hours of doing that, we would really prefer to be in a laying position. And I believe that's where the term comes from, to decompress, to relax. So instead of sitting up in a compressed position, laying down for many of us is more comfortable than sitting. So my partner and I actually discovered that that is what we really like to do. So while we were floor living for this time, after a certain point of the evening of sitting and eating our dinner, we would actually put the blanket out and lay down almost like it was a bed in order to decompress. So that made us discover what we actually really wanted from our furniture. We wanted to be able to lay, and I am of course going to get to the elephant in the room, which is the chairs, the little table. We have created a cozy space, and we're going to talk about furniture-free living and minimalist furniture and how one can enable the other. Having a period of furniture-free living can really teach you about what you actually want. So what I have actually really enjoyed about this period of furniture-free living is undoubtedly the space. The space has been great, especially in such a small home. By the way, guys, I'm really sorry about the seagull noises. There's nothing I can do about it. But I have really enjoyed the space. I have also really enjoyed the feeling of being grounded and sitting on the floor and being close to the centre of gravity. But there are times when, if you want to side lean or do something like that, there are times when I'd like to not be on the floor, and I just think that that is because being able to sit in many different positions and having more choices about the positions we sit in can be more comfortable, whereas that is a little bit limited even with throw cushions sitting on the floor. I also decided that because we have such a small home, it's basically only got 2 rooms, the bedroom and this room, and then a tiny pokey little bathroom, and the kitchen is sort of off of this room. I don't know if any of you have ever noticed throughout my time living in this property, but we always have one room that has a little bit more going on than the other room, and that kind of switches positions sporadically. Sometimes the bedroom will be more minimal, sometimes it will be the living room that's more minimal, because I think it's nice, even as a minimalist, to have a room that's a bit cosy, but then a room that is completely serene and tranquil. Now, I have loved having this room empty for a period of time and feeling all that space when you walk into it. And it was quite good because we did have the hammock, so at least when my mum came round, who yes is in her 60s and doesn't always want to be getting up and down off the floor, she at least had the hammock to sit in, and we were happy sitting on the floor. Our friends were also happy to sit on the floor, but my mum had the hammock at least to sit in. So it's nice to have a few options, perhaps people that are a little bit less able-bodied, but in general, we didn't really come into any problems from floor living. We just decided what we wanted to do with the space instead, to make a cosy space, a homely space, albeit still a minimalist space. So now, whenever I bring a piece of furniture into my home, I always think about the minimalist design, whether it's multifunctional, how useful it's going to be. For instance, I think only a few weeks ago, you all saw me bring in what I believe is true minimalist design in the shape of the standing desk, which was perfect for me and my back injury, because standing for me creates less pressure on my spine, so it's great. And obviously I have the multifunctional use that I can lower it and sometimes sit for a little bit when I want. And that is really what I've discovered throughout this period as well, that I actually only like, regardless of whether it is furniture-free living or furniture living, I actually only like to be in a sitting position for about 3 hours a day, give or take, because of our lifestyle. Sort of 7 p.m, eating our dinner, chatting for a bit, maybe watching a documentary or a film. 10 p.m, I am ready to decompress, and for me that means laying down, whether it's on the floor or whether it is in a recliner or whether it is in the bed. That is what I like to do. And I even mentioned on the empty furniture-free home tour that when I really thought about other people's furniture-free lifestyles from what I had seen, many people also had a futon, which was still a pad that they could put out and also be in a laid position. In fact, I would love to know how many people that are furniture free, if they truly ask themselves honestly, actually stay in the seated position for longer than sort of 3 hours, and whether actually as the evening goes on, if they're sort of relaxing for the evening, decompressing, when they actually lay down or start to lean a little bit more like this rather than sitting in a sort of bolt upright position. Because most people that I know kind of start to lay down as the evening goes on to decompress. So that is something to also consider. And I also made a point in the home tour about how I actually think that people who also live furniture free as well, many people might leave the house to go to work, so they're not actually sitting down at home all day, because that would be an enormous amount of pressure on your spine in the seated position. So maybe they're sitting on chairs at work, or even having a very active job where they're walking around, so they're not in a seated position. Or, you know, we're all often doing things throughout the day that means not completely sitting down. I mean, there is a reason why, I suppose, office workers are renowned for getting back problems, because they are sitting for so long. But my theory, and I have actually spoke to doctors and chiropractors about this, is that it's actually not just the sitting at a desk, it's sitting in any position because of our spines in this position, sitting basically on our bottoms and the pressure at the bottom of that region of the spine, whether you're on the floor, cross-legged, straight-legged, or even if you are on a seat like this. So I have thought about every piece of minimalist furniture in my home, whether it is good for my back injury that I got from horse riding. Also guys, quick little side note, the injury wasn't from falling off a horse, although I have done that many times in my youth. It was actually from being kicked. I got kicked in my spine, but it's kind of a weird but sweet story behind the injury. My horse was actually trying to protect me from another horse, and it went to strike its hoof out to get the other horse away from me, because it thought that horse was going to like trample on me or get me in the field. But it accidentally struck my back, and at the time, thankfully I'm not, I can still walk, I'm still reasonably fit, but every now and then it flares up, or I re-injure it when I'm lifting something, which, as you all know, I do a lot. Basically, at the time it happened, I actually thought I was paralysed. It was so painful. I fell to the floor and I was literally laid on the floor for about 5 minutes, and I had no feelings in my legs at all. But then slowly the pain subsided and I was able to stand up, and yeah, it was the scariest few minutes of my life. But that is how I injured my back, for anybody that wanted to know. So as I was saying, away from the side note, I now consider every single piece of furniture in the home. As you all probably saw on the furniture free home tour as well, which it might have been last week, I'm not sure. These videos have not come out in order, as you're about to see, throughout the past weeks, throughout the weeks going forward. I filmed a lot of videos together to cover the period we are travelling. So some things were filmed quite a long time ago, then I've had a period to catch up with videos on my other channels, and then we've gone back to filming at a more real-time time. So it's been a bigger gap for me than what it appears to you guys. But basically, I've had time to consider everything. Minimalist design is important to me, and lately I have been loving having a clear, all white almost, but also natural aesthetic, because I think in a small space it feels even more calming, and it definitely makes it appear bigger. So you all saw the empty home tour, and now, after living for quite a while with no furniture, I have discovered what I would like. I obviously integrated the standing desk, as I believe because I work from home, I don't have the luxury of going to an office to be seated at while I'm working, and also I don't want to be fully seated all the time. I have my standing desk. But we have the chair, our Hans Wegner wishbone chair, so that my partner can sit down if he wants to sometimes share that desk with me now. And it's also a lovely piece of minimalist design, because although I am a minimalist, I also appreciate really good minimalist design. I love the curves of it. I think it's very natural. You know, it's supposed to be like a wishbone. It's just sleek and beautiful, and I love it. And that is part of the thing that I also love and enjoy. You know, home interior, it's kind of the focus of my second channel a bit, along with travel and daily lifestyle. I love interior design, and I think it goes well with minimalism, because when we don't have these cluttered homes, it showcases the odd key piece that we have. Regards our bed, our other piece of furniture, I would love if we had a bigger home for it to have a futon, because I do actually believe that floor sleeping for my type of injury is good for my back. In fact, occasionally when my back is going through a period of really hurting, I actually sleep on the floor. I say to my partner, do you know what, I'm going to have to sleep on the floor for a few nights, because in the decompressed position of laying, it stretches your spine, and that is the problem that I have with my injury. It sort of compresses. It puts nerve pain between part of my spinal cord. So the act of laying forces your spine to stretch out and often unpinches the nerves. So I would love to have a futon, but we just don't have the space in this room, as I discussed in the furniture-free home tour, because if we had a futon or a tatami mat directly on the floor, we would just lose all that space under the bed that is just great for storage. So it's not a luxury that we can have in this home. But I did say to my partner, after having this time of furniture-free living, that if we ever had a home with 3 rooms, I would like to have a room that is furniture-free, where we can enjoy the space with no furniture in it, and it be sort of a room for activities and movement and space, because that is something that I have enjoyed from furniture-free living and can definitely understand why people do it. And for us, it's a little bit about compromise to do with other factors in our lifestyle. I do love it, and if I had more space, I would also have a futon as our bed. Let's get to the new furniture in the living room. These chairs, they are so comfortable. I love that they are all white. They also have, because we've got to think about the cleaning after the last sofa, apparently they have a coating that is spill-proof and easy to clean, because obviously white is a very impractical colour, although I do actually love how it looks. And firmness. I've just been talking about the firmness of sleeping on the floor. We also want our chairs to be comfortable but quite firm. You don't want them to compress too much and then lose their shape, and these are great for that. They don't lose their shape. They're quite firm, they're quite supportive. Let me demonstrate. So when I decide I want to decompress, it's gotten to that point in the evening, I can decompress and watch our projector. I can cozy up, it's firm, it is completely supporting my back. So let me also show you all a few clips of true minimalist furniture. I absolutely love the fabric. I think it's really nice. I also really love the idea and the design concept. I previously just talked about the Hans Wegner wishbone chairs, but if you want a comfortable chair, what could be more comfortable than cozying up with a waffle shaped chair? Even the word waffle to me sounds almost like an onomatopoeia word, where cozying up in an actual waffle just sounds comfortable. So the whole back piece is supposed to resemble a waffle, and I believe it really does. It is just so cozy. The fabric is so soft, yet it is firm enough that it supports your back. I just really, really love it. I also love the idea that the chairs swivel, so we can have them in a social position for talking throughout the day, but then swivel them round to face the wall for our projector on the evening. I also really love the wide, comfortable armrest. It's wide enough really that it's almost like a love seat, like 2 people could really kind of cuddle up in it if they wanted to. And I have to say, after our last sofa, the Easy Care chenille fabric that is just so great for stress-free cleaning is a definite bonus for myself. For us, these 2 recliners have been perfect reintroduction to create a cozy minimalist space that kind of ticks all the boxes for us. So then, because we got these, we realised we didn't need a coffee table anymore, but what we did need is a little side table for a place to put our drinks. So because I'm really into minimalist design, and yes, minimalist aesthetic as well, even though it's not all that minimalism is, and we're going to be covering that in some videos that I've already kind of pre-recorded, but like I said, they're all coming out in a different order. For instance, I'm not sure, I've done another video that hasn't been released yet where the sofa is still here, so you're all going to see that, and it's all about minimalist lifestyle more than the stuff. But at the moment we are talking about the stuff because we're talking about creating a well-designed minimalist space. And what is well designed doesn't just mean the aesthetic, it means how we live our lives and how we use the space, and even our bodies in terms of, you know, are you a person with injuries? Are you not? How have you lived in the past? You know, there are all these things to consider. We knew that a coffee table would no longer suit this space, so we got this lovely little side table, and I love ceramics. Ceramics are one of my hobbies and interests. I knew that the table had to be small, so we introduced this lovely little ceramic side table. It is metal framed with a ceramic coating. I absolutely love it. It's that really rough, raw type of ceramic that I love. So I love that. And look what I've done, guys. Finally, I've been able to reuse my salt rock lamp in a space where it works, because I kind of knew that at some point it would have its place in this space, and it was something that I never actually did want to declutter, because I knew that eventually I had perhaps a bigger plan for this space when we finally let go of the sofa. So we've reused some bits, we've got useful integrated storage. That is where I keep all my soy wax candles that I sometimes do make myself. We have really thought about our hobbies, what we love, what we will use, what is practical, and I feel like the space really works. And so that we don't get anything that we don't need, we're going to live with it just like this for a while, and then really think about whether we miss having somewhere to sit when we eat, which is the only place that is not really covered yet in our design considerations for our minimalist home. In that previously we used to sit at the long coffee table on the floor. We loved sitting on the floor to eat. That's something we've always done in this home because we've never had a dining table. So now our only options are to sit like this with a dinner tray, or get a little fold out table that we get out. If we decide we don't like that, we can still sit on the floor to eat, or we could get a very, very small, perhaps circular dining table over in the bay window. I'm not sure. So that's why we like to trial things and experiment first, and that's how you end up with not really getting things that don't work out for you. I'm not saying that doesn't always happen, but at least it limits it, you know. Rather than rushing into getting a dining table and then discovering we don't like it, live without first and discover whether you need it. Because if you get it and then discover that you don't need it, it then ends up something that you have to declutter. Whereas if you live without first, you then discover what you need for your lifestyle and what you want, which is what we've managed to do through the furniture-free and sofa-less living. So that is our space, although in upcoming weeks I will do a completely new minimalist home with furniture tour, so you can see the whole space as a walkthrough, and perhaps even watch it like a before and after of furniture free versus with minimalist furniture, but not, like I said, in a combative versus manner, just the difference in space really. So I'm not sure when that will come out, as I just said, as I'm not sure what order my videos are coming out in, but it will be in upcoming weeks. And just a reminder to everybody, if you did like the look of these chairs, I will link the details to FlexiSpot in the description, and their website and details on the chairs with a product link, so you can go check them out. I'll also pin it in the comments for you, because I know some people don't know how to get to the description, because what could be greater than cozying up in a waffle? And whilst we might not want to completely fill and stuff our home with furniture as minimalists. I think picking true pieces that showcase well thought out minimalist design can really add value to a minimalist space. See you all in the next one. Bye!